Adventures of Sonic episode 45, Super Robotnik. If this episode had brilliant writing, it would be about Robotnik turning super and golden with the Chaos Emeralds that the show finally remembered to include. Instead, I guess it's about Robotnik being like a superhero or supervillain, not being a threat at all. Coconut complains and accidentally knocks over a shelf in the lab while using a broom, sending chemicals into the tub, and Robotnik trips and falls in the bathtub. Coconut somehow trips and screws up, and Scratch and Grounder have to save Robotnik instead, even though it's normally Coconut who's more competent. Robotnik not only becomes muscular from those chemicals instead of dying, but arbitrarily his clothes change to make him become a superhero, letting him eat the bars from a window and have X-ray eyesight. As a result, he finally promotes Coconuts to first lieutenant, even though he did it by accident and he should earn it properly, but at least it happens. I actually felt bad for Scratch when he said in the face of his demotion that they didn't do anything.
We didn't do anything! Give us a break! It wasn't us!
Technically, they did everything to deserve this, just not recently. Coconut seems to be a nervous wreck briefly, which makes sense considering how he's abused. The civilian repays Sonic for getting stolen stuff back from him. Sonic sees a flying red tornado that reveals itself to be Robotnik, who could finally be a competent villain on his own. He shakes the ground itself and topples people over. Aside from his design, can't it be like this the whole show? Robotnik freezes Sonic and Tails, earning himself an overly easy victory instead of Sonic having one for a change, which is good. And strangely, he throws them into a frozen place instead of bringing them to a prison to gloat at them. I guess he doesn't care where they are.
I just stole candy from 4,822 babies!
This is the most entertaining he's ever been. I guess he has an entertaining personality in the show, but I don't really care unless he's actually competent too. And here, there you go. He's both. He demonstrates a supercomputing brain, calculating that Sonic's already planning his escape. Wait, how the hell did he spin Ash out of an ice cube that he was paralyzed in? I thought he wouldn't even be able to think in that state. You know, hypothermia? That was way too easy for them, insultingly so. They shouldn't be able to move. And also, I'd expect Robotnik to be a genius anyways, so a supercomputing brain, that should be redundant. He should have been smart like that already. Then the villains run away from a green goop monster as I hope that Coconut doesn't get cost his promotion, and they trip and leave an explosion and smoke behind, breaking a wall in the building. Robotnik surprisingly calls Coconuts brilliant.
My brilliant first lieutenant!
Can't this always be the case, whether Coconuts is a villain or not? And even then, at this point he's more of an abuse victim programmed to be loyal to his abuser than an actual bad person. Robotnik uses super hearing and grabs a tall city building and picks up a piece of it, throwing it away after sending people to a van. Logically, that'd kill or injure people. Robotnik stupidly flies away and says that he has the most powerful leaders of Mobius locked in his dungeon, and Sonic has to fight him as a gladiator in a coliseum, and he has to leave Mobius if he loses. I guess Robotnik thinks this is more fun than killing them right away, like would have actually had him win. Just like in Fleetway, no matter how competent he can get in abilities, he can't hide from his own personality. Professor Vaughn shows him to Sonic from behind a bush after Tails leaves, briefly asks who he is because forced comedy, big flanderization for him, and he shows off an all-purpose exercise machine. We saw that Tails could invent things in the show, so why didn't he make this? Vaughn is already completely exhausted because more arbitrary comedy. This isn't funny. Sonic exercises until the exercise machine arbitrarily gets destroyed. Vaughn briefly assumes his machine killed Sonic, and when even the characters in the story have a better sense of logic than the show does, something's wrong. Because of Scratch being distracted by Grounder, a thumbtack lands on a chair when he's in front of a painting of Robotnik. Robotnik is impressed, and predictably he sits on the tack. And that hurts him. Grounder catches him in his fall with something, and Robotnik says that only his derriere isn't invulnerable, because it's the only part of his body that wasn't in the superpower potion. I like how awkward Robotnik is about saying which part of his body is invincible.
Was my caboose.
The robots use pliers on him, and Tails spied on them the whole time, fortunately getting away without being kidnapped. Vaughn tells them that if Robotnik sits on some powder on a pillow, it'll neutralize his superpowers. And Tails says his plan isn't complicated at all, looking much smarter than the inexplicably idiotic scientists. Sonic somehow fools Robotnik with a cushion salesman disguise he shouldn't have, and tricks Robotnik into sitting on the pillow. At least he was in character by stealing the pillow from Sonic and not paying for it. Still, I'm surprised that Sonic succeeded so easily, and I shouldn't have been surprised considering the theme of the show up to now. Sonic arrives to a cheering crowd in the Coliseum and shows off, and Robotnik flies up to the Coliseum, happy about being booed for some reason. I guess his superpowers take a while to wear off. Vaughn even explains this. Do they have to insist on portraying Vaughn as a mad scientist with his eyes all cross-eyed? That's stupid. Futurama did the absent-minded professor much better. Coconut says that Robotnik can at least wear a rump protector. Unfortunately, Robotnik complains about it in embarrassment. The protector makes it obvious where his weak spot is, though. He might have been better off without it. Robotnik doesn't try and uses heat breath to humiliate Sonic in the game. I thought he was going to fight Sonic, not cheat at a sports game. He would have won if he fought him. Why the hell would the referee declare an obvious cheater the winner? That'd clearly violate the spirit of the rules, if not the letter. It's not like he's happy and likes Robotnik. And he doesn't ever say that he's scared of Robotnik and is too afraid to call him out on being a cheater or he'd be killed by him. So it just doesn't feel like the writing's self-aware at this point. He says that they have to get through the obstacle course in balls to win. I'm expected to believe that Sonic has a hard time rolling the ball he's in, and Robotnik punches his ball by sticking his arms out through the one he's in. But somehow Sonic bounces towards him in what he's sitting in, though Robotnik hits him away like a baseball player anyways. Seriously, why can't Robotnik be like this the whole show? This is actual tension where he's one-upping Sonic. This is him being a good villain. Status quo as God is really doing more harm than good. Sonic and Robotnik go to fight on a narrow bar over boiling liquid. Sonic jumps over him and steals some keys from him, and just then Robotnik loses his superpowers and gets trapped in the mud, because status quo is God. Scratch and Grounder betray him for demoting them because being passive-aggressive towards him. Oh, never mind. They try to help him anyways, because he promotes them, only to fall into the mud. Too bad, I loved seeing them assault Robotnik.
Pull me out!
Sorry! That's not in our job description!
Yeah, you demoted us, remember?
Tails has horrible acting complimenting Sonic, but then is charming because he admits that he just wanted to butter Sonic up so he'd get him to buy him a chili dog.
You really mean that? Well, not really. I just wanted to butter you up.
So he's like a realistic kid, kind of. But why would he admit that? That's not realistic. And then an angel... And then an angel shoots lightning at Robotnik and that arbitrarily doesn't kill him. Why doesn't he take down Robotnik? If angels exist in this continuity and they hate Robotnik, then they're no better than the ancient walkers for being too lazy to do something about this monster. Even Penders didn't write literal angels existing in Sonic, despite all the Christianity references he had. That was weird. They could have had him had a different design to be more logical in Sonic. Like be a butterfly, for example. The Sonic Says message is about toxic chemicals, with Sonic giving us a lecture about it in front of Coconuts as if he's his mentor. And good, the story doesn't end with Coconuts being demoted. He probably will be back to his old crappy position by next episode though, because fuck continuity. That doesn't reward long-time fans. This episode was pretty excellent because it portrayed Robotnik as a genuine threat, one-upping Sonic for once. And multiple times in a row at that, because Coconuts accidentally somehow turns him into a supervillain. It's a shame that it comes with a design change, and worst of all, it's only temporary. He may have too many powers, but at this point I'd take anything to make him more competent as a villain over Sonic. Like, this is what Robotnik needed to be in the show, both competent and entertaining. Sonic escaped the ice insultingly easily though. Professor Vaughn showing up and defrosting them would have felt less cheap. He came in handy getting rid of Robotnik's powers, but Sonic shouldn't have done it just by fooling Robotnik with a disguise again somehow. I really loved that Coconuts was promoted and called brilliant by Robotnik, though he should have actually earned that victory. Even though he has a lame voice, he's still better than Scratch and Grounder, so he deserves more respect than they do. Sadly, I'm sure things will be back to normal next episode for no reason at all instead of logic existing. While it wasn't a story about Robotnik going super, I guess he might as well have, since he was almost invulnerable and super powerful. It would have made more sense for him to become that way from the energy of the Master Emerald or Chaos Emeralds though, not from toxic chemicals that should have killed him. It would have made more sense if it wasn't by accident and he did it to himself on purpose.